Hello and welcome, everybody. How's it all going on a Thursday night here? Welcome to the show. I'm Matt, that's Michael. So today is a special show for us. Not just our weekly podcast show, but it's the first time we have a giveaway. Yeah. A giveaway extravaganza. And I've been mega excited about running this promotion because it's for an IP that he's obsessed about, I really like, and from what I've seen over this last week, there is thousands upon probably millions of people that love this franchise. I joined a Mass Effect is what we're talking about. I joined a Mass Effect Facebook group last week when they launched Legendary Editions, and my notifications just exploded. So welcome to everybody that's watching. The way we're going to do the show today is we're going to do a discussion and try and keep it as unspoiler free as possible for people that haven't.
No, that's a double negative.
Unspoiler
free. We want it to be spoiler free.
Spoiler free, yes, that's the one. Yes,
I don't think it will be spoiler free. I can't review Mass Effect
without spoiling it. All right, then it will be spoiler heavy because we're going to discuss the Legendary Edition. Michael has completed Game 1, which he completed last night. I believe I sat watching you on Twitch.
Over on my Twitch channel, we managed to get through actually a completionist playthrough as well, which I was pretty surprised on Insanity.
Okay, and just for everybody that's watching, this is MTJDisorders on Twitch. So follow him, like him, come join the raids. I see there's Clank41. How's it going, buddy? I saw you there last night. So without further ado, let's get into spoiler-free Mass Effect Legendary Edition. What were your first impressions of the first game playthrough? Because that's the one we talked about last 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. That was the most heavily altered. So give me your thoughts on it.
Okay, so it's funny because everyone who knows me knows just how much I have a hard-on for this game series. So when the announcement of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out, obviously I was like, yes, please, I'm ready for it. Make it happen. And we know, as we discussed last week, that
2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
okay.
Last week was Star Trek.
Oh, it was, yeah. Anyway, last time we discussed Mass Effect, there was some trepidation on my part about whether or not this was going to be worth the money that we pay for it. So, I wasn't expecting a complete brand new remake. I'm not that naive, but I do believe at the time I was thinking, just don't get the Legendary Edition. Go buy it for PC from a bargain bin and just mod it. That you'll get the same experience. Boy, was I wrong.
So before you get into it, just the $80 in Canadian that we pay for the Legendary Edition, that's all the DLC for all three games.
So you get everything minus one, and that's the, I forget what it's even called, Pinnacle Station, I believe, from Mass Effect 1. It is just this little sort of side DLC where you get to go and participate in a combat simulator. Okay, it's really not that useful and not that enjoyable. You get some in-game rewards, like you get a little apartment on some random desolate planet somewhere. It's a bit silly.
It's not quite as good as his apartment at the end of 3 then.
No, not even close. But no one really missed it. But besides that, you get everything. So you get Bring Down the Sky for Mass Effect 1. You get for Mass Effect 2, you get the Lair of the Shadow Broker. You get what else? Overlord. You get Arrival. You get the Kasumi and the Zaid DLC. Zaid did come with the game initially anyway, but you also get all of the weapon packs, all the armor packs. So everything and anything that you could have bought from EA at the time, you get included with this DLC. Which is crazy, and kudos to EA for having restraint, because if they really could have, they would have made you
milk every penny.
They would have made you pay for the DLC. Mass Effect 3, you get the Leviathan, you get Omega, you get From the Ashes, you get Citadel, and all of the armor packs and weapon packs.
So basically, it is the most complete game that it ever was originally in one purchase.
Essentially, yeah. Everything minus Pinnacle Station that came out for the trilogy, you can all get just for having the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Okay.
So it is, if you think about it monetarily, you're looking for $80, you're getting a upscaled, newly, freshly textured version of all three games, which comes to, I would imagine, just shy of $400 retail. That's Canadian again.
So that's absolutely epic.
I think now,
value for money.
having played the first game, then yeah, I do agree that it is worth it.
Before we go into the discussion of the game, it's made by BioWare, which is a local company for us. So shout out to those guys.
I had an interview with them once as a sound artist
for giving us one of the most memorable computer games in modern history. So first game's down. I watched you a couple of nights on Twitch. So I want to discuss because obviously Clank was there with us. There was a part in the game that I was watching you on Twitch. And when we get to that, I want to discuss what you were going through your head. But take us through firing it up and what your first impressions were.
All right, so anyone who was watching me will have seen how much I was geeking out from the moment that I started going live. So I installed it, got the upgrades and updates, everything all patched, everything done before I went live for the first time. And I didn't expect this, but I literally sat there for 10 minutes at the launch screen.
Just listening to the music, I remember.
With a grin from ear to ear, just like thinking, meditating on the moment almost. If that doesn't tell you how much I love this series, then I don't know what does.
But also for somebody who's not played it as much as you but really likes it, just the music. Like we all know when we hear our favorite song from like our childhood, how it makes us feel. When I was watching you waiting to start the game and it was just playing the load screen music, even I got the chills. I got the old chicken skin going on, and I was like, I really should. I was very tempted that night, but I promised him that I won't buy it and play it with him until he's there with me to play through it because he likes watching as I play through it. But I was so tempted that night just listening to you at the bloody menu screen, ready. I was like, credit cards coming out of the pocket. No, go back. So
speaking of the menu screen, you do get this global launcher for all three, where it pops up and it's you get to see the Normandy Bridge, and you get the first game, second game, third game, and you get to choose which one you want to launch. Now, it's not seamless. You pick a game, and then that launcher closes, and then Mass Effect 1 loads up.
Right, yeah.
Which kind of took me by surprise because I had my game capture settings set to the launch screen. So for the first few minutes, I was like scrambling around thinking, why the hell is the game not showing up? And then I realized, I've got to capture the game individually. But once we get into the game proper, you do... I just want to mention, there's a new track in that launch screen. It's like a new unheard track. It's not part of the game. It is there specifically for the Legendary Edition, and it's, speaking of how good the music is, it's true to form. So you launch the game, and immediately you're brought to that iconic load screen of the horizon of a planet with the moon coming up its Earth. But it's different. It's very drastically different, actually. And even to some degree, I preferred the old version. I thought it looked more stylistic. The one that we see now looks more reminiscent of what we see at the load screen for Mass Effect 3. The lighting's a little bit more dramatic. It's almost like you've got the sun eclipsing the planet, and so everything's dark, and you can see like the city lights below. But there's just a menu screen. You can actually change back to the old menu screen if you want. But there's actually the first issue I have with this edition.
It doesn't have like what upscaling Halo has, where you can flick between.
I feel it would have been cool if you'd have been able to flick back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics.
Well, one thing with that, it's been a while since I've played it, so something like that would have been good to show me what all the hard work has been into. But I might load up the game and it looked good, but not have such a comparison because I've not played it a million times through. So I understand, because the Halo one's great, where you can flick between and you go, oh yeah, I could see the difference. But you're disappointed that that's not there.
Yeah, but it's a minor gripe.
Right, okay. Hey, man, we were here to minor gripe things.
Realistically, you shouldn't be that concerned with that. If you're playing the Legendary Edition, you're playing it because you want this new 2021 version of the game. If you want to play the vanilla version, it's still there. Go and install it. Like I said, go buy it from a bargain bin for $12 and you got it. And I do still have the vanilla version, but so far I haven't come across anything in the Legendary Edition that's made me think, I'm just going to play the Legendary Edition the vanilla version moving on. I will always play the Legendary Edition from now on, at least for the first game. Because the first game's biggest asset is the way that the actual gameplay is being overhauled.
And that's to bring it more in line with the other two games.
Yes, they do a good job of that when it comes to switching up the controls. Now everything is pretty much the same. Where a little weird thing about vanilla on PC is the interaction button was the E key. So if you wanted to speak with someone or interact with a crate, loot something, you had to press the E key.
And I've only ever played it in console, so I have no idea.
So when you go do that in the in the second two games, it's the spacebar. And the spacebar is the global interaction key. Anything like getting into cover, opening up items, and speaking with people, interacting with objects is always space. So they switched that in Mass Effect Legendary Edition for Mass Effect.
Right.
It is now the spacebar. You also have a new reticule for the weapons, which was a little weird in the old game. It didn't really tell you anything. It had bloom on it, so it would get bigger the more you shot, which is cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, I remember
it shows as you start using, you're going to get a little bit more out of control as you're firing. But like now, the reticule is a little bit tighter, and it also has a hit marker, which is something you'll see in most shooters these days, where a little X will pop up every time you get a hit, so it'll let you know there's a hit, and it'll come with a little like punching sound effect, and it actually makes the guns feel like they hit harder. Which is, again, something like when you're playing a Mass Effect, you're really not quite sure if you're hitting anything.
I know from watching you, the sniper rifle definitely that's benefited the sniper rifle massively.
Yeah. So now, so the comparison is vanilla version of Mass Effect. You didn't really know if you were hitting anything. It was very hard to tell. The weapons didn't pack a punch. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, that's all gone. You know that those guns are doing damage, and you know when you're making a difference. And if you're speaking of playing on Insanity, or even if you go down to normal difficulty, that's very useful. Because it's a cover-based game, so if you ever get out of cover to try to just lay into a mob that has its shields taken down, because you're like, quick, finish it off before it can finish me off. Now that you know if you're actually hitting, you know that you should be getting back into cover if you're not. Right. Whereas in the old game, you'd kind of like be unloading on him, and you're like, yeah, die, motherfucker, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, you get one shot sniped, and you're like, oh, crap.
I don't know, that happened to you quite a lot last night.
That's more to do with the difficulty settings, though. Like, it didn't happen anywhere near as much. And even
suck again!
But even though it did happen, it didn't piss me off as much, because it made me realize, oh, okay, it made me see that learning curve of trying to understand that if your shooting isn't effective, then you're going to be, it's not going to be very long until you're exposed and you're dead.
Right.
So that's why it took me 3 goes to defeat Sovereign. Whereas you play it on easy, on vanilla or legendary, you're going to defeat Sovereign instantly. But also on higher difficulty settings, you have things like Geth show up in the middle of the fight, so you have more than just the boss to fight. You have to fight random mobs too. But getting too far ahead of ourselves, there's other gameplay improvements as well. I feel like the Mako is one of the areas of contention for some people.
Oh, it sucked in the original game.
But I know, though, from the Mass Effect group that I follow on Facebook, that there's a lot of people who were just like, no, I'm switching it back to the old way of fighting, the old way of using the Mako. And so a lot of people weren't impressed with it. I actually liked it, because I feel it made the Mako not like... It didn't make it any more like frustrating to work with, but it definitely made it feel more like it was a tank you were driving.
Not a feather.
Exactly. So, and that goes for the controls as well, because there's this one weird thing where if you're fighting a Thresher Maw, the way you would usually fight a Thresher Maw in Mass Effect is you'd kind of strafe around it, and like you drive around it whilst keeping your reticule aimed on it. However, now the Mako, when you press forward, will basically reorient itself with wherever you have the camera pointed. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to fight the Thresher Maw that way.
Yeah, because you used to you'd be driving along and you'd have your cannon turned, pointed in, and you're basically trying to drive a circle around the Thresher Maw.
Yeah, what I said.
So what you're saying now is, if your cannon's pointed at the Thresher Maw, you have to constantly be turning right if you're going in a left-hand circle?
Well, no, because even that won't help, because wherever you're pointing, the reticule will take over.
So there's no independent controls to control the turret, and
there is independent controls, but wherever you're pointing the turret, that will override which direction you're going in if you're pressing forward. If you want to keep going and strafing like that, you kind of got to press right. So if let's say the Mako's facing that way and the gun's facing that way, instead of pressing forward to move, you have to press right to move if you want to strafe like that.
Right. Okay.
So it's I actually thought it was cool because it made it much more challenging, especially in the Thresher Maw encounters. And the Thresher Maw encounter itself is very different. Now the Thresher Maw has 2 different phases. 2 phases.
2.
It has its usual come out and spit acid at you phase, which with this new controls makes it a little bit. You have to be a little bit more cheeky with the way you fight them, because you can't just do that. That's fucking easy. What you have to do now is you have to realize if you want to be able to come into bear on it and shoot it like a tank, then you have to put yourself in a precarious position. And you're
Right.
going to get hit by the acid. So if you plan it out, however, you can outwit the Threshamore and even get it to a point where if you stop just at the right time, the acid will overshoot you, and then you unload a salvo, and then you get moving again, and you keep doing that until it's dead. The second phase, however, is terrifying. I'm not sure if it's any different on lower levels, but on Insanity, it's crazy because what happens now is these individual tentacles pop up out of the ground, and they shoot acid at you, and you have to get rid of them all in order to get the Threshamore to resurface. But another wrinkle is, while that's happening, the Threshamore is actually chasing you.
Right, okay.
So it no longer just moves randomly. It's now chasing you when that's happening. So you can't stay still. If you stay still, it's going to catch up with you, and it's an instant death.
So I've got to ask this question. What came first?
The chicken or the egg?
AQ40 or Mass Effect 1?
AQ40.
Because what did I say to you when I was watching you play the Threshamore
It's
mission?
a rip-off of Uru?
No, I don't think it's a rip-off, but it definitely has got Uru, which is the second to last boss in the dungeon in the raid AQ40 in Classic WoW, is extremely similar to a Threshamore encounter because that has two phases. It has the phase where it pops up and does the winds, but then it also has the popcorn bit.
Can you give Lewis a spanner?
A spanner?
Yeah. So just click on his name.
Lewis, you're a spanner.
Make him a moderator.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Sorry to break your thought there.
Yeah. So and Uru has a second phase where it burrows around and stuff pops up and hits you. So when you were playing it the other night, it just dawned on me that the Threshamore encounters are very much like the second to last boss in AQ40.
So to me, what I feel like the people, the detractors of the Mako changes are they're conflating difficulty and a challenge with something becoming worse. Whereas to me, I feel like the added challenge is actually more exciting and makes it way more fun.
Well,
it actually made me actively track down all the Threshamores in the game, because usually I would avoid the Threshamores because not only was it boring, but it also put yourself in unnecessary risk in a game notorious for not having autosave, and it was just something you would just want to stay away from. Whereas now in the Legendary Edition, I actively want to go and seek them out.
From what you say about it, though, what it's done is add a new, not only the Threshamore encounter, but also how the Mako operates. It's added a new part of the game to an old game. So for anybody that is OG, it's something new for you. So I don't understand why they would complain.
There's purists in every market.
That's true.
I'm not going to begrudge people for being purists.
But it's always great to have new shit.
Yeah, and that's why I'm super excited that we've got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So that's all I can really say about the Mako. I love it. I love the way that it feels now. It just feels a little bit more like a tank, and not just like some dune buggy. It's still kind of ridiculous. It don't make any sense.
How you mean get to the top of a mountain?
You climb over a mountain and like you fall off of like a 500-foot drop and nobody dies.
Well, what about the clip that Clank 41 clipped the first time you dropped?
Kappa.
Oh, was it Kappa? Was it? Yeah.
He clipped that one.
Yeah, because
they would. But the thing is, that's Mass Effect. Their little like. Speaking of technobabble and whatnot, and word salad, all the Mass Effect technology is essentially just it's to explain away problems in a game like that. Like the reason that the inertia doesn't kill you when you drop out of that thing is because the Mass Effect field generator on board the Mako creates localized gravity inside the Mako. So no matter how much the Mako is moving around, no one inside is actually feeling that inertia.
Inertial dampeners.
That's what it is. It's inertial dampeners, and how do we make the inertial dampeners work? Mass Effect fields. Well, how do Mass Effect fields work?
Magic.
Well, it changes the way that mass interacts with the Higgs boson, aka the way gravity affects things. It can change the size of something. You can reduce the mass of something. You can accidentally have like a problem happen in the Mass Effect universe where your Mass Effect field generator malfunctions and it reduces the mass of a person like so much that it turns them into a black hole. Like there's all sorts of crazy.
That would suck.
Yeah, there's all sorts of crazy. Well, that's essentially what a singularity is. So when you use singularity, your biotic power, what you're doing is you're using your ability to manipulate Mass Effect fields to turn a small particle into a black hole, which sucks mobs into it and causes mobs to be disabled, so you can shoot them to death. So. Where was I going with that?
Oh, technobabble. But we anything else on the Mako?
No, it's great. But I understand why people might not like it.
So, what was your overall playtime for Mass Effect 1?
I couldn't tell you. I did the 8-hour stream, which ended up being almost a 12-hour stream.
Yeah.
Then I did 4 hours the following day. Then only 3 hours the following day. Then 5 hours, and then 5 hours again.
So you got a good what's that? 16 plus 12, 28 hours of playtime out of the first game. Like, one thing I saw online, which I don't understand,
and that was on Insanity and 100% playthrough.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm trying to. Oh no, I remember it. So one thing I saw online, which really baffled me, is if you're a massive fan of the game, two things. First, people were like trying to do sprint campaigns. Finish the game as quick as possible. And that really baffles me. It's like, take your time, savor it.
I can explain that.
Go on.
So, I don't know if I'm like a rare species when it comes to Mass Effect fandom, but I don't think I am, especially after finding the Mass Effect group on Facebook. But it seems like there's a large group of the fandom of Mass Effect who are so obsessed with the game that we have put more time into Mass Effect than we did in school. Like, we've spent so many hours playing those 3 games from start to finish that most of the game has become like autopilot mode for us. Which is why it's nice. My recommendation to any of you out there who are like that is take a little time off from the game. That's why I'm glad this is my first playthrough of the year. I wasn't tempted to go and... I played Andromeda, mind you, in the meantime, but I wasn't tempted...
I was going to say, you did a full Mass Effect at Christmas.
Yeah, but that's still 6 months. That's enough of a break to kind of like give you a little bit of a rest. But then, though, speaking of the devil, that playthrough I did over Christmas was a sprint through. There was a reason I was doing that, though, because it was the 12 days of Chris Mass Effect, so I really wanted to see if I could complete all 3 in 12 days. And I couldn't, so much so that I had to skip the first game and only play the second and third. However... one thing that's, in my opinion, a positive of the Legendary Edition, and I'm surprised it didn't affect others this way, but when I'm playing it, I'm thinking all along, I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to do my usual perfect playthrough, 20% Renegade, 80% Paragon, and I'm going to do it the way I usually do it, and I'm probably going to sprint through things and not do any of the side missions. However, the moment you load the game up, you start to see just how good they did of a job of updating the visuals, because I think it's a testament to the remaster that it doesn't look stylistically any different. What do I mean by that? So a good comparison, again, Halo Anniversary. When you compare Halo Anniversary with the Combat Evolved Vanilla, it's not just been up-resed, sharpened, made to look prettier. Stylistically, it's changed. It's changed to fit more in line with 343, the new company, the new parent company who makes the Halo games. It's more in line with their vision now. The Marines don't look the same. They're wearing different like armor, their combat armor and stuff, and the camo looks more in line with something you would see in Halo 4. So there's a lot of changes in the Anniversary Edition that kind of take away from the visual style of the original game. The Legendary Edition, not once did I notice anything about the visual style of the game had been compromised or changed. It was just, they took what they made and just made it better. Like, an example, Turian's outfit, for instance.
Yeah.
Little blue bells and whistles and lights and stuff everywhere. You go back to Vanilla, it looks like a 2007 Xbox 360 game. Really, really, really blotchy, really low res. Snap ahead to 2021, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. It's that same Turian armor, but now there's like scuffs and scrapes and scratches. There's more detail in like in the parts, in the topography of the armor, and that's across the board for everything.
I noticed that on Saren's face last night.
They touched up everything. Oh yeah, Saren's face is a great example of that. The best. Oh, speaking of faces, you've now got Ashley Williams and Caden Alenko. Their faces now are the exact same face, like the face models that you have in the second. Oh, we lost the camera.
I'll be back.
They're the same ones that you have in the second and third game.
Yeah.
So that now not only does that increase the continuity, but it also improved upon the way that they actually look in the game.
Right. Okay.
So what's another way I could emphasize this?
Just back to what you were talking there, though.
Well, yeah, I was going to.
Oh, you're going to say something else?
So another thing to emphasize it is that everything was touched up, and I have a unique point of view here, I think, or anyone who uses PC and has used Nexus mods to upgrade their versions of the game before will understand this. Now, mods obviously are just a community of enthusiasts who want to make and develop the games that they love into better games, right? They make their own modifications.
Yeah, some of them are a bit out there, though.
They're not paid. They're not paid to do anything. BioWare are given a budget by EA to go in and do the same thing. And so the differences are obvious. So when you're playing with, like, let's say a lot of mods texture pack, you'll see, oh wow, look how good Garrus looks. Oh wow, look how good Ashley looks. But then you'll be walking along a corridor and you'll be like, man, this fucking corridor looks like shit. You don't have any of that in the Legendary Edition because it's official, and this money was put into this, and people were paid to develop it. So everything has new textures. Everything has updated textures.
I believe as well, like lighting and shadows as well. That was the big thing they invested in as well. To change how that looked.
The lighting to me looks just more in line with what we see in Mass Effect 3. It doesn't look like they really did anything revolutionary with it. They just kind of... it's hard to tell because I'm not a developer, so I don't know the correct terminology, but it is a little problematic because Mass Effect Vanilla is notoriously a very dark game. And so with it being a very dark game, the contrast is usually like utilized to benefit the fact that it's a dark game. Now, in the newer version, there's not the contrast is way higher. So you'll have moments where you're in a conversation with someone in a room that is darkly lit. So in Vanilla, you'll come into this darkly lit room, you'll see this sort of like detailed shadow on someone's face, whereas now in the Legendary Edition, you'll just see blank darkness on one side of someone's face, like you do in real life if you shine a light on someone's face.
Yeah.
So it looks more realistic, but it looks a bit weird. It's like you're having this really nice romantic conversation with Liara, for instance, and like your whole face is just like covered in shadow. It just feels a bit strange.
It's not mood shadow. It's just like
it's mood lighting,
right,
but it's not good for in a game. You want to be in a game. You want to be able to see the game.
Yes.
you don't want it to be that realistic in that sense. Otherwise, it's a bit strange.
Okay, so I'll bring up the second point that I was going to bring up, which I saw online, which again, for people who are Mass Effect lovers, I saw lots of people who said they were skipping the first game.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
And especially seeing as though most of the money and most of the development of a Legendary Edition went into the first game, why they would skip it, I have no idea. If you're watching out there and you were one of the people that did skip it, let us know why.
It's connected to the previous point, but I didn't actually get there.
Go from B to C.
So let
to
me
D.
let me just go back for a second. So the reason I didn't speedrun this was because, given the fact that it did take a little time off from playing it, but given the fact that it looked so visually updated and so like pretty, clear, crisp, edgy, I was desperate to see everything. So I'm not going to rush through the game. Like, I'm walking down the Presidium, I see a flower pot that I didn't see before. I'm like, wait a second, that's a new flower pot. I'm going to go look at that thing. I'm going to whip open the photo editor, take a fucking selfie next to it. Like,
Mass Effect selfie.
Exactly. So I was taking in every second of the game. I'm actually kind of sad that I'm onto the second game already. But it's great because it just means, like, typical style of a obsessed Mass Effect player, I'm probably going to go back and play the first one again very soon. But so that's why I feel like I was able to play it and do a completionist playthrough. So I think anybody, and don't quote me on this, but this is just my assumption, anybody who did rush through it was just wanting to kind of give themselves a quick experience of it. They weren't really wanting to see everything. They just want to be like, well, let's see what it's about, and I'll just do a quick playthrough. I want to get to the second game, see what the second one's like. I want to get to the third game, see what the third one's like. But I didn't do that. I thought I might, but I was just 100% immersed because of how fresh it looked and how fresh it felt. And now going back onto point B here, I think it's the same thing possibly with people who are skipping the first game and going straight onto the second one. Anybody who does that might be a little bit disappointed because I've played about an hour and a half of the second game now. We moved on to it last night before I finished the stream, and not much has changed.
Right.
There are visual updates, mind you. It looks even better than the first game, but the vanilla version of the second game looked better than the first game, so that's what I expect. I couldn't stop staring at Jacob's chest last night.
See, and I was the other way around. I couldn't stop staring at Miranda's butt.
Yeah, but even Miranda, like her face and Jacob's face, it looks smooth, like a real person's face. You don't see kind of like the polygons anymore, which is weird because they're there. They haven't switched this to a new engine.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't update any of the polygon counts in the game. It's like, but for some reason the textures trick you more into feeling like it's a smoother more realistic looking game. And I think the anti-aliasing, obviously being able to run on an RTX 2060, probably makes that a little bit better for me. There might be someone playing it still on a Dell Pentium 2 for all I know, and they might have the opposite. But with the with Miranda, the things you notice first is just how much more detailed her outfit is.
Yeah,
and which is a good plus, I guess, for her, given the whole ass effect thing. Because now you're not just admiring the character model. You're also given an opportunity to really sink your eyes into the detail of the character model, and that also goes for Jacob too. Like I say, I couldn't stop staring at the chest. But again, context. The reason I couldn't stop staring at the chest was because of the reflections. There's this thing that's been added into all 3 games. It doesn't look that smooth in some situations. It kind of like causes the frame rate to drop, but there are now real-time reflections on all reflective surfaces.
Right.
Meaning what they did was they took, essentially, when you see a reflective surface, they've taken everything being rendered in the game, mapped it onto that surface. So it's a true reflection.
Yeah, so when your character walks by glass now, it's actually a reflection of your character.
It's literally a reflection
right.
of
That's
your
pretty
character.
cool.
It's amazing. But like I said, there's some moments where it seems to the frames go down a little bit, but you know what? Like it's an open world RPG. I expected a little bit, but it's not game killing or anything like that. And I've yet to see it implemented in the second game other than Jacob's chest.
So, first game, was there any extra content that was never in vanilla, or is it just stuff that was made better?
There's nothing like true extra content, you know,
like extra missions.
There's no
stuff.
extra gameplay or anything like that. But like I say, if there's a plant in a bush just sitting there in the Presidium, that's not there in the vanilla. But I just thought of a good an analogy for something from the first game that kind of like is a testament to how good they did with retexturing this stuff. So, stairs in Mass Effect. Not all of them. Some of them are rendered, but stairs on most missions, like Pharos, for instance, are not actually 3-dimensional stairs. It's a ramp. It's a ramp where the textures drawn onto there are drawn and shaded to look like stairs.
Yeah.
So if you take the camera out and zoom in on it, you see it's actually just a flat 2D surface. But when you're just looking at it at first glance, it looks amazing. It looks 100% 3-dimensional, and that's just textures that did that. And I asked Clank in the chat the other night, and I forgot what the term for it is exactly, but they basically had a algorithm, almost like a deepfake, that would analyze the original textures from the game and then compare them to the new updated versions that the artists had done versions of themselves, and then actual pictures of similar objects, like real life similar objects, and the algorithm would do like an analysis between all 3 and then finish by rendering its own version of that texture. And they used that across all 3 games. That was a computer that did that.
That's quite impressive for especially how old a game? 13?
14 years.
14-year-old game. That's pretty impressive.
Well, no, but the algorithm obviously is new technology.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But to be able to take someone that's 14-year-old and apply new technology to it to get a better experience.
Well, no, because all the technology is doing is changing the textures. The textures are just picture files.
Rendered in a computer.
Yeah.
Right. So, what was your favourite mission?
In the original Mass
In the
Effect?
first game.
Vermeer. Oh,
Right.
it always has been. It was and still is.
Let's talk about Vermeer, because I was watching your stream the night you finished Vermeer. First off, the big question is, who did you let die?
Ashley.
You killed Ashley.
I didn't kill Ashley.
No, you let Ashley die.
No, a 40 kiloton nuclear warhead killed Ashley.
Damn. So you chose to save Caden.
Yeah.
All right. And now I want to come on to the part where...
Hold on, I got to say something, though. There's something that always bugged me about that. If you do all the missions on Vermeer correctly, you basically rescue all the fire team, all of Captain Kirahi's fire team, including, I think it's Corporal Rentola, or it might be Lieutenant. Either way, Rentola survives. All these guys, all these Solarians survive. So it begs the question, why weren't we able to save Ashley again? Like we were able to go pick up the rest of the fire team, and we were able to pick up Kirahi. Why did we leave Ashley?
All right, yeah.
I've always thought it was weird. I think it makes more sense if you leave the person left behind to arm the bomb. if you leave them to die. But I screwed it up because it's whoever you send to the fire team is the person who you go rescue, and they're just a bogged down fire team. Whoever you keep on your team ends up arming the bomb. Now this time I've justified it by saying, well, you know what? Because he says, hey, I've armed it, it's done, it's ready, there's nothing we can do now, just go, Shepard. And I was saying, well, I don't want to run that risk. Sorry, Ashley, we're going to go back and make sure this bomb goes off, and we're going to rescue Caden. It's a little convoluted when you think about it, but hey, you know what? It was 2007. This was pretty revolutionary of a game-making decision, especially when you consider the fact that just an hour earlier, if you've not done anything right and all the checks of the game have been fucked up and you haven't done loyalty missions, there's a good chance you can also lose Rex early on in that mission.
Well,
and Ashley's the one who can kill him.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because I was watching you the night you got to the point where the decision is how you go about the game, like you say, is whether Rex survives or not. And we all know Rex our boy. And you thought you'd fucked it up.
Yeah, well, yeah. But now that I know it was in the moment.
Oh, but hang on, people watching out there. He didn't know this at the time, and I thought I was going to see.
No, but I should have.
My grown adult brother start bawling his eyes out on Twitch. You could see he was welling up because he thought he'd fucked up the decisions that was going to lead to Rex dying. So I've got to ask this question: if you had fucked it up, and Rex had died, would you have been a true Mass Effect player and continued without Rex, or gone, fuck no, Alt F4, let's start again?
Well, no, I would have probably gone back to a previous save. Because that's easier, and it only requires me to go back a little bit. You noob.
Yeah, but you would have carried on with the game without Rex.
No. I did that the first time I played because I didn't know. I thought the first time I ever played Mass Effect, it was a very depressing playthrough. I lost Rex and ended up with his brother Reeve in the second and third games, and I didn't realize that he wasn't supposed to die.
All right, so you in the very first time you played it, you made decisions that ended up dying, and you thought that was just a story.
Well, and that's kind of what led me to worrying this time round, because every time in the past that I'd played, I usually had a Charm Intimidate check in order to get him
Renegade
on my side.
Paragon.
Renegade and Charm, yeah. So the blue or red, and that didn't pop up this time. But now I know it's because I helped him. I helped him with his family armor, so I didn't require that check, which gives you a 2 in 3 chance of being able to cool him down. One of those options would have led to him dying still, so that's why it was pretty close when you think about it.
Yeah, you were pretty choked.
Even Lance copied and pasted like the whole encounter from like must have been Mass Effect Wiki or something. I'm like, no, wait, let me do this. Appreciated though.
It's pity there wasn't an option there to turn around and just shoot Ashley in the face. She's a bitch. She's not a nice character at all.
I get it. It's like she's really a weird character because I'm sure she's appealing to some people, and I think it's trying to really like see if it can capture that audience. But I feel like it's the game not really knowing its audience, because you have this encounter with her where she talks to you about God and religion, and how she's super religious and she believes her dad's looking down on her from heaven and all that. And you can, one of the options you can have is you be like, not on my ship. But so like I'm sure someone who has faith would probably find that as an attractive quality to the character.
Yeah.
But then there's also the fact that she's quite xenophobic as well.
She's extremely xenophobic.
But you also get, though, that the Alliance in general is very xenophobic, because Presley's like that. You've got this whole history between the Turians and the humans because of First Contact War. So it's not like it's an unearned, like, hate-filled xenophobia. It's something that the humans have obviously, like, developed for good reasons, because they were literally in a situation where the Turians wanted to exterminate us.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you only find out though that the character grows a little bit in that regard in the third game. Unfortunately, the first and only time you see her in the second game, she's a complete asshole and doesn't like you and is mad that you're part of Cerberus and all that, which is a good reason to be mad, mind you.
Is the first game where you slap the reporter?
You can beat Khaleesi bint Sin Al Jalani.
Did you give her the open-handed slap?
No.
Oh, yeah, because you tried to play a full Paragon playthrough, didn't you?
No.
I thought you were
I never knock her out. Only when it's just because I'm trying to do a joke. It's stupid. It's kind of dumb.
Every time I played it through, she gets.
Also, not to mention, well, no, it's not a slap though.
No, he punches.
He full-on punches her. In the third game, Shepard headbutts her.
So when I do my playthrough, I'm going to play for the first time ever as Femme Shepard, so I won't feel as bad.
Why? Why does it make it any less wrong?
I'm not saying it's wrong, but a woman hitting a woman's a lot less.
The woman's still getting hit.
Controversial than a man hitting a woman.
I think hitting people in general is controversial, Matthew.
Not if they
don't be hitting people unless they deserve it. There's no reason for a tabloid journalist to get knocked out.
There's a lot of reasons for a tabloid journalist to get knocked out.
You use your words, buddy. Use your words, and that's what I ended up doing. And Admiral Hackett was happier for it, and I'm going to get those sweet war assets in the third game because of it.
Anything else from the first game that you want to talk about?
Lots.
Go on then.
I could just keep on talking. I find it quite frustrating that they did boast in one of the development videos on IGN, I think it was. I think Mark Walters was going on about, oh yeah, we're going to fix the autosave. We're going to fix the autosave. You're never going to have to worry about accidentally dying and being, accidentally driving into a pool of lava, which I did twice, and all of a sudden finding yourself 1 hour back. And it turns out that was bullshit. Because I learned very quickly that I had to get quite friendly with that F5 quick save key. Because it happened to me on so many occasions, and yet save frequently. It's a good thing. Make sure you're saving frequently, especially in a game like Mass Effect where your decisions are that important. But damn, was it infuriating on the Uncharted Worlds missions. So when you're just going around doing all the side missions, that's an example of where it's at its worst. Because what you need to do is it's the same thing on every planet. You've got usually 3 objectives. You land, you've got some debris to go look at, you've got some minerals to go mine, and then you've got an objective to go take care of. And you can go do all those, end up at the objective, find out you're going up against a bunch of Geth destroyers and a Geth Prime, get annihilated instantly because you didn't know what to expect, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I'm back at the beginning of the planet and I've got to go mine that thing, and you're going to do it all again. And the first game always had those problems, and it's just frustrating only because they said they were fixing it, and they didn't. So,
do you think that was a time constraint?
I think, okay, tinfoil hat time?
Put that tinfoil hat on, man. We love the tinfoil hat.
We know from previous discussions that I don't believe that EA and BioWare had this in the workings a year ago.
You think this has all been done in a year?
I think there might have been some preliminary work, because I do know Casey did that whole, Kermit the Frog drinking a coffee cup with Mass Effect on it shtick back in 2019. But we know they're developing a Mass Effect 4, so that could have been that. I feel like this whole Mass Effect Legendary Edition was mostly damage control in the social media domain, because there were so many people who were like, oh, there's rumors everywhere, this is a thing, this is happening, this is going to happen. And at some point I think EA were like, okay, shit, man. Too many people think this is going to happen. We better make sure this happens.
Either they were like that, or they were like...
Well, there's a little bit of both.
Dollars.
A little bit of both, but that's because, for the most part, remasters don't usually do well, which is a big thing for the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, because it has been a humongous financial success.
Yeah.
And the end product is also pretty damn good. All things considered, if you take my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, then even more so. But I was thinking that the reason certain things got promised and then actually forgotten about was because at one point they released that First Impressions trailer, which is what I did my First Impressions video on, and a lot of people were instantly saying, "Don't look like they've done anything. It doesn't look any different at all." We got a couple of side-by-sides of the first game, and we're like, okay, that looks better, that looks more interesting. But people were very concerned with Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 looking no different.
Right.
Just looking like a 4K version of the vanilla version of the game. So at that point, they might have been like, oh shit, everybody concentrate on making the textures look better. Oh fuck, there's this new algorithm we can use. Yeah, do that. Everyone, all your resources into textures. Everyone do the textures now. And somewhere along the line, things like fixing the autosave.
Yeah. They had a list of like a million things they wanted to do, and in the time they got, and they had to cut off the bottom of the list.
Yeah, which is why we ended up having a 120 gigabyte launch day patch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and we had another patch a couple of days ago. So there's also, but you see, patches are to be expected. games do get released unfinished these days, it's kind of like EA's. It's their slogan. EA Games.
It's in the patch.
We'll finish it in post.
EA Games. It's in the patch.
It's in the patch.
Then that brings me on to another question that I saw from a lot of comments online, that this game has a lot of glitches. And we all know what happened with Mass Effect Andromeda when it first came out, with some of the hilarious head-spinning glitches. Did you find any bad glitches in your first playthrough of Game 1?
Okay, so none that I've never experienced really before. That I hadn't experienced before, sorry. But one that was a little strange, because I'd only ever experienced it in the second game. I'd never seen it in the first game. What happened was, in the middle of the Cerberus missions, I must have put my gun away too quick or something, because the camera got stuck, like, in combat mode. But it got stuck in combat mode in front of me. And, like, my reticule was pointing behind me, and I could shoot, and my gun was pointing this way, and the bullets would go poof. And, like, I couldn't move the camera. It was stuck.
So how do you rectify something
I eventually, I started walking along because there was no enemies around, and he put his gun away, and the camera snapped back to just over the shoulder. So that was a bit weird.
That would have been shit in the middle of a fight.
Because I've seen that I've seen that in the second game before, but not in the first game. Also, this one I think they fixed with the second patch, because I didn't come across it again. But when you're driving the Mako,
yeah,
if you jump out too quickly, if you're spamming that Q key to get out of the vehicle and it's not on level ground, you'll get out and then you can't leave Mako until you're on level ground. Thing will stay up, and you can't interact with anything. You can't click on anything.
So the Mako's not like a car in Grand Theft Auto where you could just open the door and roll out.
No. So what ends up happening is, I found a fix to that though. You'd have to quickly save and then reload the save, and that usually fixed it. But I also do feel like they fixed that bug.
All right. Carry on. What else? What else did you like?
Well, you're asking me about bugs.
Oh, is there any more bugs?
I'm trying to think on the fly, but I'm pretty sure that's all I've come across, because I do know, because you said
I saw lots of comments about bugs.
I'm wondering if it's a console only thing, because on PC very little. Because a lot of people were saying, like, the eyes, like they were worried about the eyes and stuff. Like it was kind of like Andromeda flashbacks all over again.
I have my brand.
Whereas no, I didn't think anything looked out of the ordinary. I thought it looked pretty much the same as it always did. It's just because of the increase in the photorealism of the game, because of all the new textures and the new lighting, it brought the Uncanny Valley a little bit closer. That's all that is to me. Because the way that they've tried to fix that is what's the term? They fixed something with the lighting anyway, and the way that that light reflects off of their eyes. Basically saying that, well, why this is appearing to you to be a problem they look like marionette eyes because they're so bright and reflective.
Well, what I remember watching a video on this, and what they've done is, like, when you've got a light source, like this light source up here, if you look at my eyes, Michael, you've got a pinpoint of white light on somewhere on my iris or in my pupil to reflect that light bulb. That's what they put into the eyes there to make them look more realistic. The main source of light in the scene is now reflected in their eyes. I remember watching that.
But that apparently is all they needed to do to fix that problem. Because the problem with the eyes in Andromeda wasn't so much that they were just deadpan, but they weren't moving or tracking properly. You see, right now I'm looking at you, and like your eyes are moving like a whole bunch.
Yeah,
right, because you're tracking my entire face as I speak. Whereas in Andromeda, they would like permanently fixed on a spot.
Or they'd go off on a...
And no. They'd be permanently fixed on a spot, and then when someone talks to the left of them, their eye had moved to the left, and then their head would follow their eye.
Right.
It'd be like all sorts of weird shit like that. There's nothing like that in Mass Effect. You do get the occasional crazy eyes, but I think that always happened.
What I'd be interested then, if you're watching, if you've seen any bugs, leave what you found in the comments below, and we'll discuss them at a later date, because I would be interested to see what other people have found out, so that when I do my playthrough, I can compare.
Well, do we want to before we move on and get to the big moment we're all here for? Do we want to read any comments or anything like that?
Yeah. So we're just looking through there. Content creator is now. It says you're playing Resident Evil 8. Does that mean you finished Mass Effect already? Let us know. That'd be interesting if you've already finished it. Lots of OG Mass Effect fans here. Bride and Nick and Clank as OG. Do I count as an OG? Seeing as though my first playthrough was with a vanilla version.
No, because even I don't count because I didn't play Mass Effect. So this is just quick history of Mass Effect for me. Is the game came out 2007 on Xbox 360. Now, I wasn't all that pumped for it. The game that I was looking forward to most on
hey up, Dre.
the game that I was looking forward to most on Xbox 360 that year was Gears of War.
Still one of my favorite games of all time.
And I fucking love that game. So Mass Effect kind of came out, and I just really... Everyone's like, oh, you love KOTOR, so go play this. And I was like, I don't know. And then I remember you bought it.
Yes.
And because we both had an Xbox 360 at the time.
And me and my other brother, because it was the first game
No, Daniel's never played it.
Yeah, me and Daniel played it as cooperative.
Daniel's never played Mass Effect.
No, Gears of War I'm talking about. So when Gears of War came out, I bought it, and our other brother, we played it together, and it was actually because Halo was the first one where you could play what's it called? Co-op, but it wasn't the greatest. Gears of War was the first real full game where you could. Did you not?
Blasphemy!
Where you could actually play cooperative in a phenomenal storybook mode. Yeah, sorry, Arbiter. Good old Keith David there. Who's also in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
So, Gears of War to me was the first real game that blew my mind.
All right, but back to my point. So Gears of War was what had me interested. I saw all the trailers. I saw all the Mass Effect trailers, and I was just like, it doesn't seem like me.
Okay, I just want to content creators, Mass Effect noob. So, are you here to win the Mass Effect prize? Let us know. If you haven't, quickly go enter the competition because it will be closing soon when we do the round.
And
anyway,
if you don't win though, there are some opportunities in the description below for you to go get some discounts on the games. So.
Yes, we've got links in the description below for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation versions of the game. If you don't win the free game, you can go buy it through those links.
So anyway, my history with the game. So I never really got around to playing Mass Effect. The first time I did was the Christmas of that year. I was living on my own with my buddy. Living on my own, not at home. Sorry. So me and my roommate, my buddy at the time, we were both Xbox 360 guys. We didn't have a PlayStation or anything. So I saw him playing it one night. And I was like, holy crap, this is not what I thought it was. I didn't realize it was a third-person shooter like Gears of War. If I'd have known, I would have probably been way more hyped for it. So I was like, okay, do you mind if I play your copy? And he said, yeah, sure, why not? So I started playing it, and I got as far as Therum, and I really wasn't kind of digging it. I was feeling like it wasn't super intuitive, and I was getting frustrated at not knowing where to go for things. I was a really lazy gamer back in those days, though. Like, I didn't do my due diligence on completionists and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so I got as far as Therum, which is the mission where you rescue Liara. And there's a part of Therum where you're in the Mako. And I got to the end of that whole section, not realizing you're supposed to get out here and go on foot. And I just kept trying to drive through things, trying to drive over hills. I'm like, where the hell do I go? And I spent an hour doing that until I was like, fuck this game, put it down, never played it ever again.
And I have pretty much the same stories. Is Therum the planet with the lava?
Yeah, where you go get Liara.
Yeah, I couldn't fucking get past it. I got stuck. I was exactly like you in my first playthrough.
So I just kind of forgot about it, and then like I say, you had it, but I didn't. I was playing my buddy's copy. But speaking of a buddy again, who always introduces me to games, this is a bandmate of mine who played bass in my band Boulderfist. I was hanging out with him one day. But when I came in, he was playing on his Xbox, and it was pitch black in his room, and he'd got it on his big screen, and he was playing Mass Effect 3. And I was like, "What are you playing?" He's like, "Oh, Mass Effect 3." I'm like, "Oh wow. This looks way better than the first one." And it's like, "Yeah, dude, you should. You haven't played Mass Effect?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You should give it a go." And I told him the story I just told you guys, and he said, "Oh no, dude, you got to get past that Therum mission. Everybody gets stuck there." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Just trust me. Go play the first game, and you'll be hooked." And so I went home, downloaded it on PC, all three of them, and I had the awesome experience of being able to play 1, 2, and 3 back to back without any wait for any of them to be released.
And that's how my first real playthrough went as well.
That was back in 2012, right after the third game had been released.
Yes, my story was I tried it first and got stuck at Therum and lost interest. And then, was it after 2015? It was after Mum passed away.
It was 2017, the first year I ran the studio.
Yeah, so Michael then convinced me, the same way his bandmate convinced him, to give it another playthrough. And I've always been a console guy. So we played it on, was it Xbox? Xbox we played it on. And he got me past the Therum mission, and then we played 1, 2, and 3 straight through.
But you only had the DLCs that I specifically said you need to enjoy the storyline, because we didn't have enough money at the time to buy all of them. So the only DLC you did was Lair of the Shadow Broker, Kasumi and Zaid, and Citadel DLC. You didn't do anything else other than that.
So I have all that to come, which
you've still got to do Leviathan and Omega in the third game, and you've still got to do Arrival and Overlord in the second game, and Bring Down the Sky in the first game.
So I've got new shit to look forward to, which I'm really excited to. But again, I'm going to wait for you to finish all 3, and then let me know in the comments whether I should Twitch stream it or not, because I don't have a Twitch account at the moment. He's saying I should get into it because he's having a great time and fun. Twitching at where, Michael? Where can they follow you on
Twitch.tv/MTJDisorder. All one word.
And you do every night except Wednesdays, is that
Well, my usual schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so my current schedule as it stands is Monday is my showcase night, so I usually play a single-player campaign of whatever game I'm playing at the time. Tuesday, I affectionately call Teabag Tuesday. Me and my buddies usually just play Halo. We play some co-op and we play some multiplayer on Master Chief Collection. Wednesdays, nights off usually, except right now Mass Effect is consuming my life, so I'm pretty much streaming every day. Thursday, Throwback Thursday, I'm currently playing Pokemon Yellow, the original Game Boy version, and also Rome Total War Remastered. Friday night is usually, again, kind of like a multiplayer showcase night. I'm usually playing with the Sus crew, games like Valheim. This is Saturday nights. Valheim or 7 Days to Die we're playing at the moment as well, which is a lot of fun. I was gifted to that by a member of the community, and it's actually quite a lot of fun. And Fridays is kind of just like whatever. It's usually the night where I have a couple of wobbly pops and order some pizza. So I just do whatever.
Well, what do you have coming up though? We have something beginning of June, slight special.
Well, as long as Mass Effect is complete by then, we'll be moving on to the Burning Crusade re-release.
Yes. So
with our guild affectionately called Team Redshirt.
Yeah, Team Redshirt Media, of which Facer 339 is a member. Basically what we're doing there, like Mass Effect, Michael got me into World of Warcraft last year during the pandemic. And I played through Classic, my first playthrough, and now I get to do my first playthrough of the Burning Crusade, which he's going to help me, and we've got a couple of guildmates who also want to run through with us as a group streaming on his Twitch, the Burning Crusade. So I've got that to look forward to, and Mass Effect. So that's lots of video games that I've got to look forward to.
I'm looking forward to it. It's not usually a great performer on stream. Yeah, and there's also E3 coming up next month as well. Can't forget that.
Yes.
Do you even know what E3 is, Matthew?
It's the Comic-Con for computer games.
It's an expose on video games every year. Yeah. But it's not the only one, because there's also the Penny Arcade Expo as well.
So is there anything else Mass Effect 3... Mass Effect Legendary Edition you want to talk about?
Well, I can't go into really any details on the second 2 games because I've only played an hour of the second game and I haven't played the third game yet.
But you are, once you played all 3, we're going to release on the channel, you are going to do
I'm going to do a actual scripted review.
Yeah. Okay.
It's basically everything I've touched on here. I'm sure things will come to me about my playthrough of Mass Effect once we're done streaming, but I'm pretty sure I touched on everything as far as the improvements and as far as the disappointments. Because I still feel like this could have been more than it is. I'll not budge from that. But the thing is, we know EA like money, and there's a good chance that 5 years down the line, they might be like, hey, look, we're doing the Mass Effect N7 edition, and this is going to be remade on Unreal 5. We're going we're going to be transferring all the assets over to the Unreal 5 engine. God forbid they don't put it on Frostbite.
That's what Andromeda was made on.
That's Andromeda. That is basically EA's baby. They want all of their developers to be using Frostbite, and it's just not gone well for BioWare because Anthem is another BioWare game that's failed miserably, and that is made on Frostbite 2.
Yeah.
So not Frostbite 2, but Frostbite also.
So on the YouTube channel, we've got your Mass Effect review to look forward to.
Yes.
We've also got another episode of Great Moments in Bad Movies coming up, which is in the scripting phase. We've also got a top 10 list of single-seater spaceships, starfighters, all good stuff like that. So please, if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button.
Yeah, and if you guys are
share
new,
it with your friends.
If you guys are new, we do pretty much weekly podcast style videos on this channel, which is just essentially me and this guy talking about things that we're vastly unqualified to deal with. But we do also attempt to make teeny little films.
OG content.
Yeah.
We've got probably our best one out there is Michael recommends The Expanse. We've got that coming up. We've got a 10 forward episode of Season 2 of The Expanse. We already did Season 1.
And if I know you guys, if you're all Mass Effect fans, you're good chance some of you will be Expanse fans as well.
Definitely. So, shall we do the giveaway? All right, guys. So, excuse me. So, basically, the giveaway is now closed because I'm going to draw it shortly. But the idea was to try and engage the community with Mass Effect coming out. We saw a lot of people saying, haven't got the money yet to buy it, really looking forward to, don't give me any spoilers and all that, even though we just give you a lot of spoilers. So we thought, as a YouTube channel and in partnership with MTJDisorders,
spoiler alert,
we would give away a free copy to the community. We had a huge amount of interest in this. Like, we've had over almost 600 entries, which is awesome from the community. So what we're going to do now is I am going to draw it, and we are going to come up with a winner.
You're going to draw it?
Yeah.
Like on paper?
Is
this you? You win!
So, are we ready? Let's see if people in the comments are ready to see the goodness.
Well, do we have any last-minute comments to address?
Let's have a look. No,
we just got a thumbs up from the producer, so I think...
So, we're good to draw it. All right.
Sorry, what was that?
I tried Gears of War when there was a gap between Halo content releases. I like it, but it was... Oh, yeah, because he's so used to the first-person shooter of Halo. But, again, if you're a Mass Effect fan, over-the-shoulder, third-person Gears of War... It's
on Unreal Engine as well, too.
Yeah, it took me and my brother Daniel a while to get used to the third-person aspect, especially in cooperative when the screen's split in two. Because, obviously, a lot of the screen is taken up with the surroundings. It's not from your eyeballs.
It's weird. It's created like some sort of like dissociative disorder in my brain where I feel like I'm constantly looking at myself over the shoulder.
You're just out of body experience. All right. Anyway, without further ado, let's do the winner. You ready, Michael? Do you want to press the button?
No.
Okay, we are drawing the winner now.
Dun, 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 boom.
89%, 90%, or 100%.
We needed the countdown music.
Okay, the winner is... it's not blown up enough. I can't really see it. Hang on.
Do you need glasses as well?
Yeah. The winner is Abdeshmed Amye from Germany. So congratulations to you. We'll be reaching out to you within the next 72 hours. Well, we'll reach out to you tonight, and you will have 72 hours to get back to us. If you don't get back to us, we will be drawing it again on our Facebook page, and 72 hours, let me quickly do the math, will be Thursday. We'll be redrawing it again Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night to get back to us, but congratulations, Abdesamad Amye. There we go. All right, Michael, back to Mass Effect. Any other points you want to bring up about the first game?
If you're not as obsessed as I am, I think I might have a problem.
We ain't going to get along.
No, I legit think I have a problem.
No.
You ask anybody on my Twitch channel right now, like, just how different. It's almost like schizophrenia or something, or multiple personalities. How different I am all of a sudden now that Mass Effect Legendary Edition has consumed my life. I was being the usual old great host, playing different games, joining in multiplayer matches with people all the time, following a nice schedule, and as soon as Mass Effect came in, I'm like, no. No shenanigans, no Titanic flute. This is business.
Oh, not having Titanic flute, man. That upset a lot of people.
It's really affected my ratings.
Yeah. So, let me just do this. I'll let you fill the air. I'm just going to fill this out.
The winner doesn't happen to be watching, do they?
I'm just...
Because that's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. My number one mod and number one fan on Twitch is in Germany, and he's usually on around this time. That's what was making me wonder if it's him. But I also know his real name, so that's not his real name. Carry on. With what? You're the host. You're going to give me things to discuss, buddy. I just want to know what's going on in the comments section in the chat, in the side chat, because I can't read because I've got this tripod right in front of me.
Facer339 says his body was ready, like a coiled spring, probably.
Well, I know I'm a little bit disappointed that Faithful have not had the opportunity. So maybe we'll do another opportunity like this in the future.
Well, like we said, if you really do want the game and you don't have it yet, and you're a PC or a Xbox or a PS player, there are links in the description below that you can go use to go buy the game, and it's at reasonable prices. They're actually cheaper than.
Do you know
PC.
what the discount is?
I think it was $59.95 is what I saw.
US? Because that's the regular price.
That might be it. I'm not sure.
You get 5 cents off if you follow our link, everyone.
But the links are there. If you've not played it.
What are you expecting from this? You haven't told me anything.
So.
I mean, you've seen it now as well.
Yeah, I've seen you playing it. So.
Does it meet your expectations visually, or do you think it looks just like you remember it?
So the first game looks completely different. It's like, to me, it's borderline a new game. It feels like you're playing a new game, watching you play it. When I saw you play the little bit of 2, that didn't look any different.
Which is crazy, because 2 visually is the one that stands out the most. It looks fan-freaking-tastic.
The big thing...
I think that might have more to do with the fact that the second one was released 3 years later, so you already have that memory in your mind that the 2 is an advance on the first game. But this is how I will order it. So it looks so far like this. The original Mass Effect game looks like an old, aged, out-of-date Xbox 360 game. Then the second game looks like a fairly aged, out-of-date, slightly better-looking Xbox 360 game near the end of the generation. The third game, though, doesn't come there. I put now the first game there. I think the Legendary Edition first game is now right behind Mass Effect 3 Vanilla in how it looks visually. It even shares a very similar color palette now. Now, don't get me wrong, the color palette was always kind of like lots of blues and red hues and lots of shiny silvery...
Have a guess where we took our inspiration.
Yeah, futuristic tones, but it looks a lot closer now to Mass Effect 3 because you've got sort of visual cues like a lot of the force fields. In the old version of the game, they just kind of look like film grain effect with a little bit of a glow. Whereas now you've got this sort of like grid pattern with like almost like this smoky, hazy effect going over it. So like when you see, for instance, the docking bay in the new Mass Effect, it looks exactly like the docking bay from Mass Effect 3. Right. So you'll see now that the first game is pretty much like, it looks to me like Mass Effect 3 Vanilla. Maybe even a little bit better, a little bit more photorealistic. But Mass Effect 3 also was photorealistic for its time. Then, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Mass Effect 2, is definitely the best looking I've seen so far. Again, I can't tell you about Mass Effect 3 because I haven't seen Mass Effect 3. And then Mass Effect Andromeda naturally is the best looking
So,
one.
Facer339 has a question for you. Sure. A sacrilege question. Do you think the Mass Effect series will move away from the Unreal Engine in future to a better one?
They did.
And if they did, which one would you prefer them use? So Facer339, Michael will go more into details of this, but they did move away from Unreal when they brought out Mass Effect and Andromeda.
Well,
and it was a bit of a flop.
I'll just get into it now. So Mass Effect Andromeda was the last new title they released. It was a spin-off of the trilogy. So new characters, new encounter, completely different situation. They were acquired by EA, I think, around about the time Mass Effect first came out, but EA weren't that involved with the first 2 games. It wasn't until the third game where you started to see the EA interference starting to seep in a little bit, and it finally came into full fruition with Mass Effect Andromeda. They were in complete control. They had the BioWare Montreal making it, not even BioWare Edmonton, and then BioWare Montreal closed down. So the people who had to finish off the game were actually DICE, who are the guys who make the Battlefield series. And their baby is, as I mentioned, the Frostbite Engine, which is an engine that is fantastic for open world-based multiplayer shooters like Battlefield, and it's really good for sports games like FIFA. But that's also a can of worms too. What it's not good for is open world, sprawling RPG shooters like Mass Effect. So now, I just said Andromeda visually looks stunning. It's best game out of all of them.
Oh, it is. The face textures are phenomenal.
Well, not just textures in general, lighting. Everything looks fucking great in Mass Effect Andromeda, except it's buggy as hell. Now, but mind you, I played Mass Effect Andromeda recently after it's all been patched. Now, it's my second playthrough of the game, and I didn't see any problems. It actually, I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
If you want to know how bad Andromeda was when it first came out, there are lots of YouTube channels out there that have clips.
Just T-posing all the time.
But where the heads twist upside down, sort of like out of The Exorcist.
Yeah, like characters, like the top half of a character initiating like an animation, whilst the bottom half of the character just stays put. You also, like, they outsourced the facial animations to a third-party contractor, and the third-party contractor had no context. They were just like, yeah, we need face animations, and there you go. Just make us some face animations. So they had no, the people making them had no reference point. They weren't watching like the cutscenes and hand animating anything. So everything we got ended up being just this discombobulated mess between two different visions. And so if they do continue on with Frostbite, I'll be extremely disappointed. My hope is for Mass Effect 4 that BioWare have implored them. Even the Mass Effect Legendary Edition should be a case study for EA that, look, my guys at BioWare work with Unreal. Mm-hmm. This is what we do. This is how we do it. So if we're gonna make a Mass Effect 4, like a Mass Effect sequel for you, then we are making it on the latest version of Unreal, or we're not making it. And so if I find out that Mass Effect 4 is not on Unreal 5, I'm gonna be kind of disappointed.
So yeah, Facer339, take all the bugs that you had in Cyberpunk 2077 and crank it up to 11. That was Andromeda.
Actually, I think that it depends on what you're playing on, but I think the console version of 2077 was way worse.
Right,
we didn't have any situations in Andromeda where people would be smoking cigarettes, put it out, and then the cigarettes stick to their lip. Like, we didn't have anything like that.
So Facer339 is a Mass Effect noob, so we suggest you go down into the description below and use the links there to buy your coffee.
Yeah.
Facer, are you a PC gamer or a gaming console kind of guy? Because obviously some games you have to play.
We know the answer to that.
But no, because some games you have to play on PC. You have to play World of Warcraft on PC. You can't play World of Warcraft.
I'm excited to get the band back together for TBC. It's going to be a good time.
But
Team Red Shirt.
Yeah. If I was to, for some reason, want to go play FIFA again, I'd play it on a console. I won't play it on PC. I like my little.
So do you want to hear more of my life history? Okay, I will go back and forth between PC and console gaming based on my financial situation. So, like, I built a gaming PC way back when I was a teen, and it was like the greatest thing you could have made at the time. I spent something like $2,000 on it. Well, Mom and Dad did, I was just religiously a PC gamer. I was playing games like Battle for Middle-earth, the Third Age on PC. I'd be playing games like Counter-Strike. I was playing all the COD games, even Call of Duty 2 at the time, which would have come out on 360. I was playing on PC. Call of Duty 3, World at War. I was exclusively a PC gamer all the way up until about 2006 when the Xbox 360 came out. Bought an Xbox 360, and now my PC's getting a little out of date, and I'm also old enough where my mum and dad don't buy me parts for my computer anymore, and I'm like, shit, I can't afford to buy any upgrades, or I can't afford to build a new computer. So I'll just buy games for the Xbox 360. It looks pretty good. And so there was a big period in between 2006 and essentially last year where I was just a console person, because the PCs that I had at the time were just like Best Buy, like clone computers that I'd buy just for the necessity of having a PC. So definitely not gaming PCs. Now that I'm back with a good build that I bought courtesy of Memory Express in Edmonton, I am now 100% back into the PC gaming life. And it's also, I think it comes at a great time given that I am now catching on with this whole Twitch thing, because there's a lot of other Twitch streamers who I love to collaborate with who are all PC people.
Well, that's it. Facer says your financial situation should be much better now.
Yeah, but PayPal though.
Yeah, so I did the same thing. I built a gaming PC. I've been a console. Literally, I was a console guy, and that's all I played. I built a gaming PC, like a $2,000 gaming PC, to play WoW.
I know, it's so silly.
No, I did.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did. I needed a computer. I was playing WoW on my old computer, but I wanted to build a game console that could play Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out. Because I'm a massive Grand Theft Auto fan. So I built for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh, you're going to be disappointed by today's announcement then.
Why is it not coming out on PC?
Well, no, they've just announced the support and development for GTA 5 to be released on the new consoles. So the third release of GTA 5. So that, like, pretty much with the same sort of ambitions as Bethesda means that, well, we're going to be working on supporting this for a little while, just so that we can push GTA 6 off.
Yeah, so 6 ain't coming out for a while. Well, that sucks.
You'll probably need a new PC by then.
Yeah, so at least I've got a cracking WoW PC.
Well, and you can play the Legendary Edition, no problem.
Yes, that is true, because it's going to be my first playthrough on Mass Effect on a PC, so I'm looking forward to that.
Honestly, now that Cyberpunk 2077's fixed, because I'm going to be playing 2077 on PC now that I have a good PC for it on my Twitch channel eventually. So I honestly would recommend you give it a try. I was thoroughly enjoying the story when I was playing on the Xbox One. It's just I was playing it on the Xbox One, so eventually I was just like, I can't.
Well, you got it bought for Christmas.
I was like, I can't keep playing this. Yeah, it was someone bought it for me for Christmas, but I realized I can't keep playing this. So not if I want to really enjoy the experience. So I put the Xbox One version aside, and I'm going to be getting the PC version very soon.
Cool.
But you can also be getting all the. You've got like you can be a Steam guy now. Get on Steam like the rest of us.
I've got Steam. I've got Empire.
Yeah,
man.
but like you've got Empire and Star Trek Online, like, and Star Trek Online's free to play.
Well, I will. I might even start a Twitch channel.
Maybe you can join me in the Sus crew with 7 Days to Die, because it's a fun game. Do you not know what 7 Days to Die is?
No.
Okay, so it's a survival horror video game that you can play it single player, but it looks like it's predominantly like a fun multiplayer game.
It's like Resident Evil but multiplayer.
Well, no, I call it high res Minecraft with zombies. Because basically, it's content management. You go around getting items and you build a base. And the whole aim of the game is to build a base in this zombie, desolate, post-apocalyptic environment that is strong enough to repel, on the 7th day, a mass zombie horde.
That sounds interesting.
It's really cool, especially when you play it multiplayer and you get shot by your friends by accident.
By accident, yeah. Anyway, so I think that wraps up the show. Do you want to give a quick Twitch announcement, Michael? What's coming up over the next few days? And then,
well, if I get home early enough tonight, we will be playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And it is Throwback Thursday, but I feel it counts because
it is a throwback.
It's a throwback for sure.
On the channel, as we said earlier, we've got Great Moments coming out probably in the next 2 days. 10 Forward, Expand Season 2 probably within the next week. Have you got anything to release?
No, I'm waiting for you.
He's waiting for me.
I already released most of the videos on this channel. Thank you very much. But I'm going to be concentrating quite a lot on my Twitch stream for the next little while.
Oh, and then beginning of June, our Week of WoW. Team Red Shirt members, come join us.
Week of Warcraft?
Week of Warcraft, yeah. Yeah, man. What?
Yeah,
wow. We know Facer339 is going to come and join us as he's the number one healer on the server. But apart from that, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations to our competition winner. And
don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you see. And until next time,
see you later.
Bye.